Hello friends, it's Sheree from Turquoise Dreaming. How are you doing today? Welcome to my channel. I am here today because I am going to take on the challenge that Maria from Maria's Miscellany gave me. She tagged me in the 10 crafty questions, kind of a challenge to answer. I think some of the questions are challenging, and you'll see what I mean as we go through them. If you haven't heard anyone doing this challenge yet, it's kind of a thing that's going around. And because you tag someone to, continue the the answering of the questions, but it's kind of so that, everybody can get to know everyone a little better. And so thank you, Maria, for tagging me. I was not really planning on doing this, but I did get tagged by Maria, and she's my friend, so I accept the challenge. But anyway, I don't want to delay. I have been crafting here on this latest journal, so I just left my stuff here so that I didn't have to put it away, and you have something interesting to look at. But yeah, this is my next journal here, and it's so coming along really cool. But anyway, to answer the questions, there's 10 questions, like I said. So just to get started, the first question is your name. My name is Sheree Brown, and my first name is spelled a little different from the typical Sheree or standard Sheree spelling. It's S-H-E-R-E-E. Last name Brown is my married name. My middle name is actually Lynn, L-Y-N-N. And then my maiden name is Buckner, B-U-C-H-N-E-R. So that's what's on my Facebook, Sheree Buckner Brown. So that's why that name is on my Facebook, because that's my maiden name and my last name. And the only thing interesting about my name is that my legal name on my birth certificate is Cheryl, S-H-E-R-Y-L, Cheryl Lynn Brown. But my parents always called me Sheree. They never really called me Cheryl. The only person that ever called me Cheryl was when I went to school into a new grade, and your parents write down your name, and they put me down as Cheryl, and the teachers tried to call me Cheryl, and I always tell them that's not my name. My name is Sheree. So I didn't like that. I didn't like that they weren't calling me by my name, my real name that everyone called me. So I always made sure when I started school into a new grade or whatever that I'd write my name Sheree, so they knew, that's my name, not Cheryl. Not that I don't like Cheryl, I just, that was my name that everybody called me, was Sheree. So I did that. And then also to kind of legally claim my name, when I was a little girl, or when I became a teenager, I had to get a social security number. And when I was little, you didn't do that. You didn't get a social security number when you were born, like the kids do, the babies do now. You had to go and get one when you were, I don't know what age I got it at, but I just remember myself being a teenager. And I think my mom had to drive me, so maybe it was before I was 16. So anyway, or maybe it was when I was getting my driver's license, I don't know. But anyway, I made sure I put down my name, Sheree Lynn Buckner, on my social security and my driver's license. And so at that point, I think I legally became Sheree. So I was happy about that they accepted that as my name. I didn't have to put the name on my birth certificate. And I know this is a long answer, but I thought it was interesting. And I recently added Sheree to my YouTube channel, because when I go on a live or something, and it just says Turquoise Dreaming, people always ask me my name. So I thought, well, let me just add my name, at least Sheree, my first name. So when they see me on a live, they can say, hi, Sheree, not, what is your name? So anyway, that's why I did that. So on to number 2, how did you come up with your YouTube name? Well, I came up with my YouTube name because before, I only started my YouTube channel like a little over a year ago, and I started my Etsy a little over 4 years ago. So when I was picking out my Etsy name, I had been thinking about doing Etsy for quite a while before that, and whenever I thought of a name, I was trying to think of a name, for a year or whatever before I started my Etsy shop. So I would write down whenever I thought of a name that I might like for my Etsy shop, I would write it down in a notebook. And so I had, by the time I did start my Etsy shop, I had probably at least 2 pages of names. So then I had to narrow it down, and I picked Turquoise Dreaming because I love color, first of all colors. Not necessarily turquoise dreaming, not necessarily my favorite, but it was a color. So I picked that, and I also had Turquoise Dreaming as a Pinterest board in my Pinterest. So I was like, that's 2 places. You know, I had it in my Pinterest. I would have it for my Etsy. So I went ahead and picked Turquoise Dreaming, and it's kind of a, you know, if you grew up in the 70s, or if you're familiar with the 60s, it's kind of a retro name to me as far as 60s and 70s, you know, kind of attitude, if you want to call it that. Turquoise Dreaming, you know, kind of I don't know, it's hard to explain because growing up in the 70s, you know, you know how it was, kind of the groovy, kind of psychedelic age in more in the 60s maybe, and then the groovy came in the 70s, you know, and the bell-bottom pants and all that kind of hippie type stuff. So Turquoise Dreaming kind of reflects back to that for me. So that's kind of a long story also, but that's the best way I can describe that, how I picked my name. And there might be more I can say about it, but I'll just leave it at that, and hopefully that makes sense. But number 3 is your favorite craft. So my favorite craft is making journals. I've done all types of crafts, but when I started making journals, that just like, I just kept doing it, and I've made a lot of journals now. And when I make a journal, that's what I want to do the most, is make journals. I, you know, make other things, you know, the ephemera and little other little things to go along with my journals. But my absolute favorite thing to do is actually do the journal and the pages and the cover and just all that kind of stuff, and getting that all together. I just love it. So that's my favorite kind of crafting. Number 4, place to shop for craft supplies. Thrift stores is my absolute favorite. I've been thrift shopping and flea marketing and yard selling for my whole life, it seems. But my parents didn't, my mom and my dad didn't really do that. So when I got into it, I don't know how old I was, probably whenever I could drive myself to a thrift store or to a flea market, or might have even been, you know, when I was an older teenager. But anyway, thrift stores is definitely, I love the thrill of finding something, a deal on something I can use in my journals or my crafting or whatever. So, I mean, I was thrifting before I started making journals, and then it just all went together. Finding vintage items to go into my journals is just off the wall for me. It's just, you know, super exciting. So yes, thrift stores is my favorite. And then the next question, top 5 crafty YouTube channels. I've thought a lot about this, and I literally watch hundreds of YouTube channels. I mean, and I have a lot of friends. I feel like I've made a lot of friends on YouTube. And so if I watch your channel, you know, because I try to always comment, so you know I was there. But I don't always comment because I watch so many. I can't even tell you, like hundreds. But sometimes I'll watch on my phone and I'll go to the next one. And I'm like, you know, I'll have 159 in my watch later. I'm like, oh, I got to get these off here. I already watched them before I comment. So just to explain that I'm watching, and I try to always comment, but I don't always comment. You know, I just, because I watch so many. So anyway, that's a long story to tell you. Top 5 YouTube channels. Okay, so what's the name? 5. I'm going to name Maria's Miscellany because she's become my, kind of like my best friend on YouTube, if I'm allowed to say that. But yeah, we've just clicked, and we've been doing lives together, and it's like we read each other's minds. Like, she'll think of something and I'll think of the same thing, and we'll do a video, and we're like, hey, you know, I did the same thing, you know, type of thing. It's crazy, but yeah, we're just on the same vibe or whatever. So Maria's Miscellany, if you go watch her video where she answers the 10 questions, I want to say I agree with you, Maria, as far as how you pronounce your name. I think it sounds best and classy that way. Maria's Miscellany. The other way I don't like. And I can't even say it the other way. If I try, I won't be able to say it right. But when I first said it, I did say it the other way. And then I said, I had to practice the way Maria says it to get it in my brain. But now it just comes natural. And I think it sounds best. So Maria's channel. And then I'm going to name a couple that I've been watching that have newer channels. And, you know, they've become two of my favorites. And also, you know, I want to help people that are, you know, maybe under 300 or under 500 or whatever it is subscribers. So one person is Samantha Jared. She makes the cutest things. And so I want to name her Samantha Jared, and that's the name of her channel. It's Samantha, and then Jared is Jarrad. If you go to find her channel, she makes the cutest little journals and cutest things. So check her out. And then another person that has made an impression on me and makes crazy beautiful journals is Tanya at Scribbles in Time. If you haven't watched her videos, just go over there and she will blow you away with her details. I mean, she makes journals like no other, so just check her out. And that's Tanya, but that's her name, but her YouTube channel name is Scribbles in Time. So that's 3. Who else should I name? Let me see. I made a list here, but I'm going to try to stick to 5 so I don't just get this video being too long. But let me name Aaliyah DePina, because she makes beautiful journals and she's my friend. And she was actually my first YouTube subscriber. I mean, if you have a YouTube channel, you know how it is to get your first subscriber. You're like, oh, someone's actually watching. Someone watched my channel and subscribed. You just kind of like can't, you know, you put it out there and you don't know what's going to happen. So yes, I thank you, Aaliyah, for being my first subscriber. That was so encouraging, and she makes very, very beautiful crafts, and you know, she does little things to go with her journals, and she makes beautiful journals. So that was 4. Let me see. Let me name another new person. Not necessarily new person, but new person to me. And that is Dawn H. She makes the cutest little cards and very detailed cards and like tags and things. And she, I just really blown away by her. You know, and she's very kind and nice and friendly, and everybody is that, you know, kind of nice and friendly. I just thought of somebody else I'd like to name, but now it just went out of my head. Who was it? Oh, somebody that I've watched practically since the beginning of my channel. And I can't think of her name right now. So if I think of it, I'll come back to it. So anyway, but I watch everybody else, and you know I watch you because I comment on your videos. So, and everybody is awesome, really awesome. Everybody does such great work. That's why I watch so many. I just learn so much from all the other YouTube channels that I watch, and that's why I watch so many. You never know when you're going to learn something new. Like, oh, maybe you've seen 99 things of what they're doing, but then there's that one thing that, oh my goodness, that's the coolest thing ever, you know. So that's why I watch so many. I always like learning new things, and try to watch so I can keep learning new things to do for my crafting and my journals. So that was number 5 question. Number 6 favorite colors. This is easy for me because I'm going to say all the colors. And by proof, my proof is, if you want to look at my Pinterest board, it's under my same name, Turquoise Dreaming. And I have boards for, I'm not sure how many colors, but a lot of colors like orange and green and turquoise and yellow. So I have a board, and then I put anything that I would see on Pinterest that had that color, I put it into that board. So if I want to look at that color, I can. And like for yellow, I think I have two. I have yellow houses and yellow. So yeah, I love different colors, and I love bright colors and just all colors. Okay, number 7, favorite tools. Okay, so like my favorite tools probably are the tools I use in every project. So that's what I have these right here for. And just because I use them in every project, I had a hard time with narrowing this down because I was like, well, is it craft supplies? Is it tools? It says tools, so I'll stick to tools and not get out the supplies, which like supplies would be maybe my books and book pages and my scrapbook paper and stuff like that. So I said no on that. I'm not going to get that out, and I just got out a few tools here. So my favorite tool is probably my corner rounder. I love this corner rounder. I kind of show it once in a while because it's the shape of it, first of all, is round, has 3 sizes of corners, and then it doesn't limit you like when other people are using that little triangle one on YouTube. I've seen them like struggling to get certain angles in there, and they can't do it, and they have to figure something else out. But this one I don't feel like I've been limited, so that's why it's my favorite tool and my favorite all-time. So glad I picked this one when I picked out a corner rounder, and it's sturdy. I mean, I've had it since the beginning, so 4 years now, and it's still going strong. My hole punch. It's just a simple little dollar hole punch, nothing, not even a fancy grip or anything, not the Memory Keeper's big giant thing or anything. I don't have that. I just haven't, bought that one. But I love making tags. That's like one of my favorite things. Maybe my second favorite thing besides journals. I love making tags. So I love punching that little hole in the top and putting a string in there. And I just think that the hole makes it, you know what I mean? Like if I have some right here, if I can find them real quick. Like I had these 2 right here I made recently. I'm making for this project. And before they had the hole in there, they were just, plain, it seemed. And then I punched a hole in there, and look how cute it is I don't know what it is about punching the hole. It just adds a whole new dimension to it for me. And then I recently got this I had one with a thicker needle, and I got this one because I wanted a thinner needle. So if you can see, you do have to be careful. If you stab yourself with this thing, it's gonna make you bleed. But it is sharp because I already did it once, so I'm trying to be careful. But it punches a small hole when you're binding. Like for any of your binding needs, it punches a nice little hole, and I almost like find the hole. Sometimes it's too small, and I have to make it a little bigger. But I'd rather have it be too small than too big, so that's why I wanted that. I didn't want my hole to be too big. And then let's see, I showed you everything except for my favorite paper cutter here, which is Fiskars. So yeah, this is the one I've had since the beginning. I've never replaced the blade yet. It has one of those round blades on it. It's kind of cuts through, and maybe it spins or something. But yeah, it just does an awesome job, and haven't found any need to get any other paper cutter. So that's my favorite paper cutter here that I have at home. And that's it for the tools. So let's move on. Where did I get my love of crafting? I wrote down, when I was looking through these questions, I wrote down 4 names. My mom taught me to sew. I've done sewing. Since my mom taught me to sew, I've always done sewing. The first thing I think I sewed was, my mom helped me make Barbie clothes when I was younger. My Barbie clothes were kind of expensive, They've always been maybe I don't know. When I was little, they were expensive anyway. But so my mom started helping me make Barbie clothes, and made a little coat, long sleeve coat, like knee length coat for my Barbie. I made, what do you call it? A one-piece bell bottom outfit that was sleeveless for my Barbie. And those are the things that stick out in my mind. And I think the ones piece thing was kind of paisley and 70-ish. So really cool. I wish I still had them. I don't have them anymore, and I made them. I should have kept them, but I don't know what happened to those. But anyway, they were not easy to make. If you can picture, the sleeves were actually set in and sewed in on the little coat. And so I think I remember my mom sitting down and like showing me how to do that. And I couldn't never do it again after my mom helped me with that project. I never had that much patience to sit down and do that by myself. But I did have enough patience to learn the basics of the sewing machine, threading the needle, doing the bobbin, learning the stitches, basic stitches. So I could, what I did was basically, I used a sewing machine for mending my clothes when I was a teenager. I had to sew in a hem or, do something to fix something on my clothes. It seemed like a seam or whatever. And then I used it for when I got married, making curtains and things for the house, pillows and things. And then, so that's my first, what was that, where I got my love of crafting. My Aunt Ruth, which was my mom's sister, was very crafty. She even had a craft room, and she let me come over and do a craft and look around her craft room, poke around in there. And she did craft sales and things, so she was always making all kind of different stuff. And I remember one of the first things she let me make at her house was caterpillars made out of marbles. So little regular size marbles, and we glued them together and put little wiggly eyes on them. I think maybe even some kind of, I remember a little black top hat we put on it too. So, me and my cousin made little, I remember one day where we made glass caterpillar or marble caterpillars. So that was super fun. So yeah, my aunt inspired me. And then my brother Phil is an artist where he paints and draws, and he's taken it into his work where he remodels homes now. And so he doesn't just do your basic remodeling. He has a creative, artistic touch to his remodels. And, people are always amazed. And when someone gets onto his talent, they, keep him and say, oh, I have another house you can work on. So, yeah, he remodels homes now, but he's the type of artist that can think of something and create a picture in his mind that you've never seen before and then draw it and paint it. So that's what kind of artist he is. My Uncle Skeet taught us how to paint one time. I remember he sat me and my brother Phil down. I have two brothers, but I think this is before my little brother was born. And me and my other brother Phil, he sat us down and showed us how to paint a scene on a lake with palm trees. And that was super fun because he made it so easy. Like for me anyway, my brother Phil is art, probably could have figured it out on his own. But for me, he showed me techniques that was really cool to learn. So I'm going to say those are my 4 people that inspired me into my love of crafting. And that was 8. 9 is, when did I start crafting? Okay, so for this, I remember when I was a little girl, the first things I remember doing that were even slightly crafty were making making those little pot holders on a loom with the loops. I thought that was just a ball of fun. Just like loved making those little pot holders. And then also 2 toys that I loved that were, I think, creative when I was a kid. It was the spirograph and the Light Bright. I just love that Light Bright, making those different designs, and they're so pretty when you light them up. And then the spirograph, I mean, you could just make endless designs with that thing. That was so pretty. And then you use different color pens and stuff. Oh, that was awesome. I thought it was the coolest thing ever when I was a kid. So let's see, did I answer that? When did I start crafting? Yeah, when I was a little girl. I would say I've been crafting my whole life, made all sorts of things. Like I mentioned, pillows and curtains and everything, stitching, embroidery. My mom taught me embroidery, and then I did all types of stitching, not just embroidery, but, like rug hooking and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, all that crafting. Then the last question, when what has been your favorite craft so far? So I kind of already answered that. Making journals is my favorite craft so far. I hope it never ends. I hope I can just do this forever. I'd do it 24 hours a day if I didn't have to work and pay my bills. But maybe someday this can support me. I would love that. So yeah, I am building my Etsy shop and stuff. So hopefully one day this will be able to support me, and it will be awesome because I just love designing the cover and the inside, and the pages just is awesome. I love it. So that's the answer to all 10 questions. Hopefully that was interesting and I told you something about me that you didn't know before. And then, so, you know, I think I'll just tag, I don't know if we're just supposed to tag one or whatever. And I, you know, hate to exclude everyone. So I'll say, number one, I like to tag Samantha Jared. She's super cool. And I love her little journals. So, and all her stuff. So Samantha, you've been tagged by me. And Tanya at Scribbles in Time. She's a super sweet girl. And she, you know, has communicated with me. She bought some journals for me is how I met her. And then I just got to know her because she was super sweet. Samantha is super cool, and she's very, you know, just love her journals and her personality and everything, and her voice, and she has a tiny accent. I don't know if you know that, Samantha, but I like your little accent, whatever. I don't know where you're from, but if you thought you didn't have an accent, you do. Have a little slight one. And let's see who else. The third person, can I tag everyone from my third person? Everyone else, those 100 and 200 people that I watch, everybody just let us know on the 10 crafty questions. So hope you don't mind, Samantha and Tanya, that I tagged you. And can I tag you, Aaliyah, specifically? I don't think I've heard one from you, Aaliyah. And I could just, you know, kind of sit here and name 100 people, but I'll just leave it at that so this video doesn't get too long and crazy. So I hope you didn't mind my rambling and babbling right now, and hope that was a little bit of fun for you to listen to. I'll let you go, and everybody have a happy crafting, happy thrifting, and happy answering questions. So see you next time, and have a great day.